In an alternate reality, the world collapsed thanks to invisible entities capable of awakening the worst human feelings. After many casualties, the survivors discovered that these mysterious entities attacked humans through their vision. Because of this, people began to blindfold themselves, wear special glasses, and in some cases, even blind themselves in order to stay alive. The first continents to be affected were Asia and Europe, including the city of Barcelona, Spain. Nowadays, an engineer named Sebastian and his daughter Anna need to leave a train station and try their luck on the streets in search of food. Wearing blindfolds, they try to cross the city on foot when they hear a group of survivors approaching. Sebastian tells his daughter to hide and goes to talk to them, asking for food and a place to stay. The group refuses, but Sebastian says he knows the location of a power generator nearby. Suddenly, everyone hears the sounds of the entities approaching, and with no time to lose, they call Sebastian to come to their hideout, which is in a huge bus garage. Using a rope attached to a pulley, they arrive at the location, where they can finally remove their blindfolds. Inside, Sebastian has his injuries treated by a doctor, and when night falls, he is invited by the survivors to have dinner. Sebastian notices that one of them has removed his own eyes, and the man tells him that months ago, he discovered something even worse than the entities. Some humans, who managed to see the creatures and survive, became their prisoners, known as seers. After being converted, the seers hunt other people so that they can see the entities, believing that their souls will be saved. Upon discovering this new threat, the group of survivors hid in the garage, avoiding bringing in more people as a safety measure. After dinner, everyone goes to rest inside one of the buses, but Sebastian wakes up and goes to the control room. Once there, he finds the vehicle keys and returns to the bus, where he begins to test them all in the ignition. The group's doctor wakes up to the noise and sees Sebastian, who, upon being discovered, locks himself in the cabin and continues to search for the right key. As soon as he starts the bus, the man accelerates at full speed toward the exit, and the group does everything possible to open the cabin and stop him. Despite their efforts, the bus crashes through the garage door and overturns outside. After that, Sebastian gets out of the bus and begins to force the group members to open their eyes, revealing himself to be one of the seers. Even though they try to resist, the survivors look at the entities, with the group leader putting an end to everything. Sebastian also forces the doctor to open her eyes, which causes her to be controlled by the monsters and push her head against the bus tire. Finally, only the survivor who removed his eyes remains, immune to the entities. Despite all the casualties, in Sebastian's eyes, the souls of the victims have been purified and ascended to heaven, leaving this world for a better place. Soon after, Anna appears and congratulates her father for helping all these people. However, their mission continues, and they need to save more souls so that one day Sebastian can also ascend to heaven and be reunited with Laura, his late wife. 9 months before these events, the engineer worked for a wind energy company. However, while observing the wind turbines, Sebastian receives a call saying that several employees have lost their lives at the hydroelectric plant, apparently jumping into the turbines. Without electricity from the plants, Sebastian rushes back to the office, where he sees the news reporting on the mysterious eliminations. Arriving at the company, he finds a scene of chaos, with employees ending their lives for no apparent reason. Soon after, Sebastian receives a call from Laura, asking him to pick up Anna from school as soon as possible. With no time to lose, he runs to his car, only to see it being destroyed when one of the employees throws himself off the building and lands on top of the vehicle. Sebastian has no choice but to take the subway, but the station is full of civilians trying to escape an unknown threat. Suddenly, a mysterious force begins to emerge from the subway tunnels, which frightens Sebastian, and he decides to take another route. However, the entities emerge from inside the tunnel and everyone around him begins to jump onto the train tracks. Sebastian tries to escape, but people pile up and push him onto the tracks, with the train about to arrive. Luckily, he manages to hold on before it's too late, but all the people who fell onto the tracks are hit and eliminated. As soon as he manages to get out of the subway, Sebastian runs towards his daughter's school, but the place has also been affected by the invisible entities. Fortunately, he manages to find Anna in the classroom and takes her towards the exit, but a huge explosion hits the area outside the school. The two then head for the exit in the chapel, where they find the school priest sitting on one of the benches. He speaks to Sebastian, saying that these incidents seem to be related to the promised coming of God and his angels. The priest believes that this is a time of trial, and all those willing to be saved must look directly at these entities and meet their creator. However, Sebastian does not believe this and says he just wants to go home and take his daughter to safety. The priest then allows the two to pass and leaves, believing that their salvation is near. Finally, Sebastian gives Anna a necklace of a local saint and asks her to keep her eyes on it at all times. Anna obeys, and her father takes her around the city with the suit covering her head to protect her from any danger. Finally, the two find Laura waiting for them outside the house, and with the family reunited, they decide to leave Barcelona as soon as possible. Unfortunately, Laura rushes across the street and is hit by a taxi. Back in the present, Sebastian and Anna continue to walk the streets in search of people when they find a group tied up in a bus. Only one of the members is still alive, but he bangs his head against the window, indicating that he also saw the entities. Upon finding Sebastian, the man says that the creatures are radiant and came from outer space. The engineer tries to correct him, saying that the beings are angels from heaven, indicating that the image of the creatures is different according to the beliefs of their victims. After the conversation, the man bangs his head with all his strength until he can no longer resist, becoming another victim of the entities. Sebastian then continues his search for more survivors, and minutes later, he finds a young woman leaving a store. She hears his footsteps and introduces herself as Claire, a psychologist who offers him help and shelter. However, shortly thereafter, Sebastian is attacked by her companions, Rafa and Octavio, who appear holding two guard dogs, blindfolded. The men send Sebastian away, but again, he tries to trick his victims by saying he knows the location of a generator. Soon after, the entities reappear in the middle of the street, so Rafa orders everyone to enter the hideout, taking Sebastian with them. The four then proceed to a clock tower, where underground is a secret base built during World War II. Upon entering, Sebastian is introduced to the rest of the group, consisting of the couple Roberto and Isabel, and a little German girl named Sophia. However, Rafa continues to suspect the intruder and takes him to another location, where he begins to interrogate him. He questions how the man managed to survive the entities alone and where the power generator is located. At that moment, Sebastian sees Anna in front of him, telling him to continue with the mission of handing them over to the entities. It is then revealed that the girl is no longer alive, and is just an illusion created in his mind after his contact with the creatures. Sebastian then says that he lied about the generator because he knew that without it, they would not offer him help. Furious, Rafa threatens to eliminate him right there, but Claire opposes the idea, as they need more help to stay alive. Sophia is also against the idea, and Sebastian decides to take advantage of the situation, using his knowledge of German. As he is the only one who can understand the language, the group lets the two talk, and Sebastian then asks what happened to Sophia. She tells him about when she got separated from her mother, just as the entities appeared in the city. The two were going to hide in Montjuic Castle, but ended up getting separated, and the girl was lost in the city until she was found by Claire. Sophia believes that her mother is still alive and that she must be in the castle, waiting for her daughter. After learning this, Rafa believes that the castle could be a good place for the group to hide, using the walls as protection against the entities. In addition, they can set up a survivor base there, thus attracting more people and collecting supplies. Roberto is against the idea, as it is a long way to the castle and they may be caught by the entities, but the rest of the group votes in favor of going to the castle. So, the next morning, they all set off for the fortress, wearing blindfolds over their eyes. After a long walk, they enter an abandoned building and set up camp for the night. Sebastian continues to have visions of Anna, but the illusion reveals something strange about his father, who seems to be getting closer and closer to Sophia and Claire. Anna insists that Sebastian continue with his mission, and thanks to her influence, he waits for everyone to fall asleep to resume his plan. Unnoticed, Sebastian approaches Rafa, who is sleeping with his dogs. Using a knife, he makes a small cut in the leashes and then waits for the next day. After resting, the group continues their journey through the city, when Sebastian begins to hear the voices of the entities. Although everyone is wearing blindfolds, the creatures begin to invade their minds through their hearing, making everyone remember tragic moments from the past. Claire and the others are affected by these memories, and the dogs begin to get more and more agitated. Rafa and Octavio try to calm them down, but the cut made by Sebastian causes the leashes to break, and the dogs run loose through the city, attracted by the entities. Rafa despairs and tries to call the dogs when, suddenly, he hears them crying, as if they were being attacked. Fearing for his friends, he ends up removing his blindfold, only to discover that it was all an illusion, created by the creatures. Soon after, the entities appear, and when he looks directly at them, Rafa bangs his head against the window of a taxi. Unfortunately, he ends up being another victim, and his dogs appear shortly after to help their owner, but it's too late. At the same time, Sophia begins to hear her mother's voice, asking her to remove the blindfold, as it will protect her. Sophia ends up letting go of Claire's hand and runs toward her mother's voice, but luckily, Octavio manages to save her at the last second and takes her and Claire to another building. Meanwhile, Roberto and Isabel hear the dogs barking and try to bring them back. However, one of the dogs ends up dropping the blindfold, and upon seeing the entities, he becomes aggressive and bites Roberto's hand. His wife quickly helps him up, and the two hear Octavio's voice calling everyone to enter the building. Shortly after, the couple, along with Claire, Sophia, and Sebastian, manage to hide inside, but Rafa and his dogs are not so lucky. As soon as they remove their blindfolds, Isabel goes to help Roberto with his injury, while Claire cries for having let go of Sophia's hand. However, Octavio tries to calm her down, saying that the entities have the ability to adapt to their environment, which facilitates their control over their victims. Based on his knowledge of quantum physics, Octavio theorizes that the creatures may have different forms. With this ability, they are able to exploit people's fears and remorse, driving them to madness and ultimately to elimination. Although he is not sure about this theory, Octavio's words make Sebastian wonder if he is really acting according to God's will. Finally, the group tries to get some rest, but Sophia isolates herself in a room, still frightened by what happened. Sebastian notices similarities between the girl and his daughter and goes to her to try to calm her down. He assures her that everything will be fine and gives Sophia the same necklace he had given his daughter months ago. The girl is happy with the gift and goes to sleep with Claire, but shortly after, Anna reappears before Sebastian. She questions her father about giving his gift to that girl and accuses him of neglecting his important mission. The conversation is soon interrupted by Claire, who says she saw the necklace Sebastian gave Sophia and asks if it was a gift from someone. The man refuses to talk, but Claire understands, saying that since the entities arrived, they have been making people remember their worst moments. She even claims that the creatures use weaknesses to control the minds of others, which only makes Sebastian more doubtful about his mission. Suddenly, the two are called by Isabel, saying that Roberto's injury has worsened, and the bite on his hand is quickly becoming infected. The group needs to find antibiotics as soon as possible, so Octavio, Claire, and Sebastian go looking for medicine inside the building. When they reach the first floor, they begin to explore the house, but the windows are open, and they have to blindfold themselves once again. While Claire and Octavio search the kitchen, Sebastian goes to the living room and finds a family already lifeless at the table. In front of him, the window is open, and Anna convinces him to call the others to remove their blindfolds and follow the entity's orders. Sebastian obeys and calls Octavio, saying that the place is safe and he can remove his blindfold. Unfortunately, he trusts his word, and as soon as he opens his eyes, he is faced with the entities right in front of him. Without hesitation, Octavio pulls a knife from the table and begins to attack himself repeatedly until he falls lifeless to the floor. However, for the first time, Sebastian realizes that the young man's soul has not ascended, which makes him feel guilty for his sad end. Seconds later, Claire appears and asks Sebastian what happened, while Anna's vision tells him to finish the job. However, the two hear the sound of more entities approaching, and Claire calls Sebastian to flee as soon as possible. He agrees, and the two run back to find Roberto and Isabel, with Claire showing them the antibiotic she found. However, Octavio did not survive, and the three begin to suspect Sebastian, who was next to the young man when he ended it all. Even so, the group, now smaller in number, rests for the rest of the night, and the next morning, they continue their journey. With his mind freer from the control of the entities, Sebastian observes the bodies of the victims around him, which only increases his remorse for his actions. To make matters worse, another seer appears before the group, this time riding a motorcycle, and he speeds toward his victims. Sebastian orders everyone to retreat, and they try to take another alley, but the seer ends up running over Roberto with his motorcycle. The man falls to the ground and Isabel stays to help him, while Sebastian tells Claire and Sophia to move on. The couple knows that this is the end, so they decide to look at each other one last time and remove their blindfolds before the seer approaches. After this tragedy, Sebastian takes the two to a safe place, but Claire accuses him of leaving Roberto and Isabel behind. Enraged, she removes the man's glasses and realizes that all this time, he could see through them. Claire soon realizes that Sebastian is also a seer, and at that very moment, Anna reappears, ordering her father to open the door. The girl insists that he eliminate the two, but the man tries to maintain control of his mind and refuses to do so. Claire and Sophia are frightened and flee up the stairs, with Sebastian following them. As soon as they reach the top floor, the two put their blindfolds back on and try to escape across the rooftops. Unable to see anything, Claire ends up bumping into a piece of antenna, which she uses as a cane to guide her across the roof. Despite this, the two are about to fall off the edge when Sebastian appears behind them, asking them to listen to him. Claire refuses and tries to defend herself with the antenna, but ends up slipping off the building and falling onto scaffolding. Now Sophia is alone, and Sebastian begins to approach her, about to remove her blindfold. At that moment, Anna reappears, but he sees blood coming from her head. The girl's illusion insists that he remove Sophia's blindfold, but amid the confusion in his mind, Sebastian finally breaks free from the entity's control and embraces the girl. After that, he recalls months ago, when he was hiding in his apartment, trying to survive alongside his daughter. Unfortunately, while the two were celebrating Anna's birthday, the same priest from school, now a seer, located them. That same night, he and his group broke into the apartment and captured the two, taking them to the top of the building. There, the group pins Sebastian to the floor and the priest forces Anna to open her eyes, claiming that this was the moment of her salvation. Because of this, the girl is affected by the creatures and begins to walk toward the edge. Desperate, Sebastian runs to save her, but is unable to prevent his daughter's fall. Shortly after the tragedy, Sebastian was controlled by the entities, and since that day, Anna has tormented his mind, causing him to eliminate other people. After this sad memory, Sebastian runs to help Claire and takes her back to the building. He tries to explain that he is a seer, but that he has managed to free himself from their control and can help them escape. Claire doesn't believe him, but he insists that he is the only one who can save them. Before the two can make a decision, a group of seers, led by the priest, begins to invade the building. With no time to lose, Sebastian puts the blindfolds back on Claire and Sophia and leaves with them toward the scaffolding. However, as they are about to descend, one of the seers appears and attacks Sebastian, removing his glasses. Seeing that he is also able to see, she accuses him of being unworthy and knocks him to the ground, using her fingers to gouge his eyes. Luckily, Sebastian manages to knock the madwoman off the scaffolding, and then takes Claire and Sophia to a car. As soon as they get into the vehicle, he tries to start it, but other seers begin to arrive and try to break the windows. However, Sebastian finally manages to start the car and drives away at full speed. In the middle of the road, he sees Anna's illusion again, but turns the steering wheel to avoid her and drives on. The trio ends up arriving at the cable car tower, and Sebastian parks the car, telling Claire and Sophia to go as far away as possible. Then he sets fire to a piece of cloth next to the fuel tank, just as the priest and his minions approach. With everything ready, Sebastian runs away with the girls seconds before the vehicle explodes, eliminating one of the seers and blocking the passage. The path is safe for now, and Sebastian tells the girls to climb the stairs toward the cable car. With that, they can reach the castle, but Sebastian decides to stay behind, because otherwise, the priest will continue to follow them. Claire agrees and takes Sophia up the long climb, but one of the steps gives way, and the girl begins to fall. Luckily, Claire catches her at the last second and pulls her up, with both of them continuing to climb to the cable cars. At the base of the tower, Sebastian faces the priest, who accuses him of abandoning God. However, he says that these entities are not the God he believes in, and arms himself with an iron bar, ready to face the priest and his group. Meanwhile, Claire finally reaches the top of the tower and needs to find the mechanism to activate the cable car. To do so, she must remove her blindfolds and seize the power box, but when she tries to activate it, the command center is completely without power. In the end, all her efforts seem to have been in vain, until Claire sees several birds flying over the site, unaffected by the entities. In addition, she sees a bell at the top of the tower and begins to ring it in an attempt to attract the creatures toward her. The plan works, and the energy emitted by the creatures causes the cable car to move. With that, the two put on blindfolds and try to reach the cable car, but the voices of the entities begin to affect their minds. While Sophia hears her mother calling for her, Claire recalls the past, when she failed to save her brother's life. These voices torment her mind, but Claire resists and holds Sophia, while trying to use her hearing to reach the cable car. Thanks to the birds colliding with the vehicles, the two jump onto the tram and manage to get inside safely. At that very moment, the priest tries to convince Sebastian to return to his side, and then Anna reappears before him. The girl jumps into the burning car, calling for her father, but Sebastian knows she is not alive and advances toward her with the iron bar. Thanks to this, the illusion reveals itself to be the priest, who is hit by the iron bar, and Sebastian pushes him toward the burning car. However, the villain resists and pushes the bar against Sebastian's body, who is also hit. Despite this, he continues his attack on the father and eliminates him, but also falls to the ground, seriously injured. In his last moments, Sebastian looks up at the sky and is happy to see the cable car moving, carrying Sophia and Claire with it, while he feels Anna embracing his body before his last breath. Hours pass and the two arrive at the castle, which turns out to be a secret military base. The leader of the operation takes the survivors to the camp, where Sophia is reunited with her mother, who managed to reach the castle safely. Claire is happy with this reunion, but is soon taken to a laboratory, where a team begins to examine her. The soldiers inform her that they are searching for a cure and for that they need to collect samples from everyone who had contact with the seers. Claire says she met a seer on the way, and he managed to heal himself through emotions such as grief and remorse. Upon learning this, the soldiers ask her more about it and take blood samples from Claire. This same blood is used on lab rats, which are placed inside a safe in front of the bed of a captured seer. With that, the team begins to analyze the sample results, but whether or not they managed to find the cure remains a mystery. So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.